Okay, I know these rules. I get the extra 15 seconds if I start talking now. Hi, my name is Kyle. I am a lead data engineer at Unbounce. Oh, I get 30 extra seconds. This is awesome. If you are motivated, you can find me on Twitter. I'm not going to share that with you, though. Thank you for voting. My talk today is on the virtues of being T-shaped. Eh? Okay, who here knows what that is? Cool, okay, breadth versus depth. So subject matter expert versus someone who knows a little about a lot. I figured that would be an easy pitch for this particular room because, okay, DevOps is inherently an explicit subsection of that T. So you're either a dev stem, hands up, or an ops stem, hands up. See? Okay, so let's talk about general principle here and why I think that's usually awesome. Boom, okay, your turn to be rushed in 15 seconds. I'm just going to stand here calmly. No, or skip to the end. Specialization, I firmly believe, is for insects. I really think you will benefit more broadly in life, but also in your career if you try to adapt a more breadth-first approach to these kinds of things. So generally at work, you can become a bit more of a T by learning from your peers. You can interface with these other business groups and try to understand where they're coming from, internalize some of that stuff. That's super helpful in a lot of situations. My favorite being the usual, you know, hey, I want this report. Oh, that report doesn't exist and isn't mathematically correct. Well, hey, they're actually only going to decide to buy more or sell more depending on that. So, you know, having a little overlap in expertise lets you communicate more effectively. It's empathy building. I also encourage you to think outside of business. Not every interest you have needs to be capitalistically exploitable. And I still think that's useful. No matter how wide your T is, you're going to learn something from that. And there's a reason for it. And that reason is humans engage in all of the activities that you will ever put along your branches. So if it's a human learning to Polka or a human learning to build a distributed system, it's still a human at the interface level. And you learn something about humans and how they work when you learn new things. New domains teach you all sorts of new ways that humans are capable of operating. Think of it as every time someone asks you to learn something new, you're not like, oh, that's not my job. That's an opportunity for you to learn some wonderful new thing that will help you be a better person. I firmly believe this, and I really get frustrated when people like insist they don't want to learn anything. I would much rather work on a team of squat little T's than really tall sans serif I's. It's just a much better experience. I think they get more done. I think stuff moves a lot faster, and I don't think people shout at each other as much. In your own life, like absolutely go out and seek opportunity. If your company supports it, spend your education allowance on something that isn't software-y. Like go build a drone or learn to paint or keep bees. I don't know, do something, because you'll learn a lot about keeping bees happy and keeping software happy, I guarantee that. Okay, so I'm going to talk now about some of my favorite examples that I've seen. Some of you will roll your eyes at this. Hopefully, if I'm making fun of one of these T's, it's not you. But let's go and see what we've got. So the first is my favorite. Okay. Front-end people have no problem learning to code. I have met many designers who find it very controversial to suggest that they should learn anything about engineering, though. I would argue that you're a better designer if you know some JavaScript or CSS. Back-end, front-end. Who here considers himself full stack? I would argue that that's okay. Like you'll be a better back-end developer if you know how the front-end's going to work, and vice versa again. Also, this one has a really low learning curve. Like it's fairly easy to go back and forth between those two. SecDev. Okay, I would argue, specifically in this case, that unless you're building out your sec branch, your depth of dev is not going to get very far. Like this is one of those instances where you need to get broader before you can get deeper. Vice versa, I've got a joke I don't have time to tell. BizDev, okay. So in a BizDev context, if you're a dev and you don't have a biz branch, then I suggest you're probably building the wrong thing 9 times out of 10. You will be a more effective dev if you develop that. And more importantly, management dev. If you don't understand how other future engineers are going to work with your code, you're probably writing code that is too obtuse or too idiosyncratic for other people to use. Not actually good code. Thanks for trying. Okay. UX dev. Is anyone here from Amazon? I know they're not, because I registered the sponsors. Okay. Command line tools could also benefit from this, though. Next up, this goes outside, obviously, just devs. I've been using them a lot for an example, but UX security. White hats could use a lot more UX. Black hats seem to have that covered. BizOps, there's obviously, like your Amazon bill, you can help prioritize a lot better if you know what your actual business constraints are. And I don't I want anyone thinking I'm neglecting depth. I just want to argue that the more breadth you have, the faster and more effectively you will develop depth in your chosen domain. I'm not discounting that. Like, don't think I'm saying that. In summary, you are in a room full of people who are passionately interested about singular topics. Get to know them. Talk to them tonight, talk to them during the break, and learn something new, because that will make you a better and more effective person. Thank you.